By the way, Welker, we're now live. I'm gonna have my microphone mute,
We are
but
live.
anything you say will go online.
We are live, motherfucker.
Okay.
Eat shit in the street. Wait, do we know what that means?
3, 2, 1. Oops, wrong one.
Oi, oi, oi! Welcome to the Tritz Dresden channel. I'm Ski Nerd, and that's.
Derp derp.
Keep going, do your thing.
And
I'm
this
drafting.
is the basement in which we dwell.
Yes. On the second floor of the basement. Wait, is that a dungeon?
Sure.
Second floor, the basement. Is that higher or lower? I don't know, but I can't see the sun, so we must be underground somewhere. In our secret lair. What's another word for lair? Wait, let me look this up. You keep talking. I want to look this up. This is important.
Hey, Welker, give us names for layers. Like a different word for a layer.
Thesaurus for layer.
Define layer.
No, not layer as in a layer. Layer is
Like,
layered.
as in a boss's lair. LAIR.
Stupid.
Different-
Google doesn't know anything.
Different
AI.
name for a layer.
Oh, okay. Secret hideaway, asylum
Hideout?
nook, bolt hole, foxhole, 70 more rolled. Oh, I'm fucking
And then this is our foxhole.
Secret foxhole. Let's see. Safe place, safe house, sanctum, hideout, hiding place, pen, habitat, concealment. Our secret concealment. Haven, hermitage, sanctuary. Damn, hideout.
Before we make a video with just different synonyms
Our secret hiding hole.
for the lair, let's get to the review.
Oh, right. We have to do that, don't we? My bad.
Where today we're reviewing the movie Circle. This is both our second viewings. We both viewed it about, I viewed it about 9 years ago when it first came out.
I viewed it about like 5 years ago when I first saw it on Netflix, and I was like, oh, that looks stupid, but I'll watch it. But it was great.
And it, right off the bat, I give it, because back when I first watched it, I gave it, would have given it a 5 out of 5. I still would. It still holds up.
Still holds up great. Like, even watching it a second time, I was like, shit, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, it was so mysterious and how things played out. But for the people who haven't watched it, we're gonna review it.
The movie, the essential plot of the movie is 50 humans are kidnapped by an unknown entity and put into a room where they have to vote on who lives.
And they slowly learn the rules through trial and error. Permanently, if you break the rules, you die, basically. So it's like Saw, but with everybody in the room, they don't have to do any extracurricular.
Not as much gore.
Yeah. No, there's no gore in this one.
Yeah, because Saw's nothing but gore.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No gore in this one.
Saw is a torture porn for a reason. Yes, that's the term.
And I love it. Anyways, and I do not like Hospital because that is not cool. Anyways, it starts off with people waking up in a room and they can't move from their circles. They're not allowed to walk away out of the side of the circle. They're also not allowed to touch other people. And they all slowly wake up out of their comas or whatever they have, standing up. And don't make
Climb
that
the
noise.
ladder.
They're not allowed to touch. And someone in the room says they can see us. Them he thinking these are aliens that put us all in a room facing each other in a circle, and we can't leave the circle. And they at first people are starting to panic because a couple people try to step out and they die, and they don't know what's going on. It's just pure chaos and panic, but nobody's moving. Everybody's just shouting and yelling until one person's like, "Shut up!" And they slowly discover that they're actually choosing who dies. They're voting basically. Um, they have there's like a series of arrows on the floor pointing to a particular person, and only that person voting can see their arrow. So their first plan was let's all see who's voting for who, and then we can vote that way. However, it doesn't work because at this time they decide to not vote for anyone, and the machine goes crazy
and kills a random person.
Yes, kills a random person, and whoever that person is, they probably would have. Maybe they would have made it to the end if they had followed the rules. You never know. All right, not voting equals death. We got that. And so this nice young person in a blue vest, I think it was, he decides that hey, all these older people have already lived their lives, and there's at least 6 people over 70 years old, and we should start with that person. And he points to an old guy, and the old guy's like, oh no, not me. Why would you choose me? And so everybody's like, oh, okay, this works. And so they slowly kill the old people, so they can have time to discuss things and try to figure out stuff. And then someone said, as they're killing the old people, someone is like, hey, does anybody remember what happened before we got here? And a lot of people were like, yeah, we were just on the freeway, and there was like a traffic jam, and then everybody started running, presumably from aliens or whatever, and everything went dark. And one of the guys said he woke up and he saw a bunch of people in a room passed out, and he saw another guy in there. I think that was the red shirt guy that said that. Let's see. So they believe they're in a spaceship being experimented on, I guess, to see what humans would do in this particular situation. They presume that they were drugged. There was like some mist or gas. Yeah, gas is better than this.
It's the term they used in the movie.
Yeah, it's true, but I couldn't think of the word. All right. Then everybody's looking around for like another old person. They're like, oh, and then they go to this lady. She's like, hey, lady, how old are you? And she's like, 52. And she's like, oh, well, why is your hair so gray if you're so young? And she's like, well, I had cancer. And the guy's like, you had cancer, so it could come back. So you probably lived your life, and you don't know if you're gonna die. And then it goes to that same guy in the blue vest, and he's like, oh, well, we're all young people, and all the older people should die because they've lived more of a life. And another old person who's like 40 something, he's just like, hey, well, you were talking about like 70 and above. There's no 70 above anymore. Like, what gives you the right to kill us? And then other young people are like, oh well, you guys are old. Yeah, it does make sense. live their lives and stuff like that. And so everybody decides to kill the person in the blue vest, and he's dead because he's an idiot.
Nice, I got Juggernaut.
I got Juggernaut too.
Mike,
And-
just ignore Welker. We have no idea what he's playing.
Is it muted? He can't hear us, can he?
No.
Oh, okay.
Welker can't, but Super Gamer Replay can.
Yep.
hear.
Exactly.
That's-
All his weird sayings and stuff. Like, oh, some
Oh.
sugar. Or, oh, he's probably getting a massage or something. Anyways, back
At
to the
9
movie.
o'clock.
So this young guy dies, and it shifts from old versus young to, okay, everybody's on equal ground now. And they decide, hey, let's get to know each other. And they point to this woman, you, what's your name and what do you do? And she says her name, she explains her life. She's like, I was in HR for 11 years. And
Beth was her name.
Beth was her name. Her name is Beth. I don't know how you remember that. Beth was her name. And she's 35 years old, she's single, and she's been working in HR for 11 years, and she went
She
to
does
school.
a whole spiel that takes the whole 2 minutes.
Yeah, and everybody starts thinking about her, and she dies immediately. And they're
I,
like,
I think everybody just wanted to shut her up.
yeah, it's like, well, she didn't have any kids, so she wasn't accomplishing anything. And then they came up with the rule of no names. And then let's see, I think that's when it cuts to Craig, the guy who's he and his wife are there or
Yeah.
something like that. Cuts to Craig and he's like, oh hey, what about you? Oh hey, I'm Craig. Hey, no names. And he's like, oh right, sorry. And he starts saying something or whatever. And then it cuts to the Spanish guy who doesn't speak English. However, conveniently, he has a interpreter next to him, and so they're talking to. So this interpreter talks to the Spanish guy, and the Spanish guy's like, "Oh, hey, I have a family, blah blah blah," and then it cuts to them talking about, "Hey, who's a criminal? Who's not?" And the cop recognizes one of the other guys. He has a teardrop tattoo, and this cop is like, "Hey, I know you. You're a mechanic, and your name is whatever." And
Carlos, I think his name was.
he had like 3 names. Carlos Esteban as whatever. And he's just like, you're like a criminal. You're why do you get that tattoo? Because that tattoo is usually the mark of I've been in jail.
Or that he's killed somebody.
Yeah, but he said it was for his brother who died, and the cop was like, well, your brother was a criminal, and he's like, he was 16, bro. And he's like, oh, fuck you. Let's see, and then it's a thing. Then they go into the philosophy of who deserves to die. You know, who's a good person, who's a bad person, and that's when the black guy pulls the race card and he's like, hey, we need to stop killing black people. Come on, guys, stop being racist. And everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then, like, what's that rich guy's name? Not Gecko, but Gordon Gecko guy. He's just like, hey, we're not racist here. What are you talking about? You're just playing the race card. You're just being an asshole. And then it switches to the cop talking about, yeah, I shot your brother. He deserved it. And all you people referring to black people, you're all the same. You'll get like, you all get stuff and handed to you, and you think it's yours, and this is all socialism, blah blah blah. And then everybody's like pissed at the cop, and the cop dies. So that's fun. And then they go into more philosophy, and they're like, is this the way they study humans? Someone's talking about it, I can't remember who. They're like, this is the way they study humans. This is the way, like killing us, like seeing how we respond and what we do and what we talk about and all this stuff. And then they decide, like, hey, let's try to beat the system, and everybody vote for a person to their right. and so they try to do that, and someone dies, and they're like, "Oh crap! Someone made a mistake. Let's try it again." And they try it again, and
One of
there's a tie.
Yeah.
There's a tie, and this is
that.
when,
That's because one of the guys tried to kill the little girl instead of,
right.
and the one of the other guys notices it and votes for the guy that tried to kill the little girl.
Oh, right. Because they vote. Sorry to not mention this before, but they vote using their hands when they close their fist. That means they voted for someone.
And they changed the vote by tilting their hands.
Yeah. That's why they tilt their
Yeah.
hands. I was wondering why they.
That's how they changed the vote.
I thought it was the person they were looking at.
No.
Oh, okay.
Because it went around the circle.
Oh, got it.
Because when it was first showing it, it was showing it go around the circle.
Alright, I remember now. See, I'm learning. Who else is learning? Raise your hand. If you raise your hand, you get a gold star. Where were we? Oh, yes.
The D20.
Ooh. I get a yellow D20.
It's the one you threw at me. It's
Yeah.
some candy earlier.
It is candy. If you're a kid, that definitely looks like candy. Alright, so this is when the tie happens on the red shirt guy. He uses his manipulation skills. Yeah, he killed the guy who voted. He was noticing people's voting, and he killed the guy who was voting for the pregnant girl. That's why they got the tie. And someone died, and he and this other person tied, and I can't remember who died. I think it was him. And then they get into the ethical thing of killing kids, and people are like, "Hey." One group is like, "Hey, this needs to be equal. Why should we sacrifice ourselves for these kids when it should be equal?" And the other group is, "Hey, we're gonna sacrifice ourselves for these kids. These kids, they're at least the child and the pregnant woman. And the pregnant woman obviously has the kid inside. So
Back on. More to that later.
Yeah. And then someone asked for volunteers, and a 16-year-old was like, "Hey, I'll volunteer." And before the countdown happens, this black guy is like, "No, I'm gonna volunteer." And he gets his suit all straight up and starts walking, and he dies. And everybody's like, "Oh." And some people are like, "Oh, if they want to volunteer, let them volunteer." You know, it's great. And then the 16-year-old volunteers again, and he dies. So.
And there's one whole thing where the guy in the suit was like, "Oh, what's your name?" His name's Sean. He gets like, "Oh, thank you, Scott, for sacrificing yourself."
He got his name right. Thanks, Scott.
And,
Oh, wasn't it the Gordon Gekko guy
Yeah.
who was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna
yeah, the
name
guy
my..."
in like the suit and the suspenders.
Oh, and the suspenders. Yeah, it's that Gordon Gekko guy. He's like, "Yeah, you're a hero, man. I'll name my kid after you." Yeah. Thanks, Skane. Or
Scott.
Yeah, Scott. Thanks, Scout.
You fucking
Yeah.
asshole. His name's Sean. You got his name wrong.
Yeah. It's funny. And then it goes to the soldier. And they're like, "Maybe we should kill the soldier." And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I have a wife and kids, and I was just trying to get back
two
to
tours
my
in
family."
Afghanistan, and I just came back home.
Yeah, he's trying to see his family. And why should I die? Like, my job is important. I've sacrificed for my thing. And then it gets into the whole religion thing. And people are like, "Well, God will protect us." And this one guy is just like, "What the fuck are you talking about? No, God isn't. God's protecting us." And another guy was like a minister. He's like, "Well, God has a plan." And the guy like freaks out.
We basically get a whole verbal conversation between an atheist and a minister.
Yeah, and he's just like, "Oh, well, this thing in the middle is now our God." And one of the guys is like, "Well, 95% of people believe in God. And he's like, well, if you believe, well, 95% of people are idiots. He's like, are you calling people who believe in God idiots? He's like, no. And then of course, they kill him because they're pissed at him. Is that the spot? Sorry, we got a dog issue. Dog needs to be itched. Dog's got a bitch have an itch. Alright. Alright. Then one of the guys, he turns to his right and he's just like, hey, don't I know you from somewhere? And she's like, no. Stacy, right? She's like, no, my name is Christina. My name is Christina, not Stacy. No, I've seen you somewhere. I think weren't you in a movie? He's like, and she's like, no. So basically this guy is like making up that this lady next to him is a porn star. And she's like, and he's like, oh, how much did those cost? Did you pay for them yourself? And she's like, a lot of girls in LA have fake boobs. And he's like, oh, so someone did pay for it. Who paid for it? And she's like, well, my employer did. So he's like getting her to admit these things, even though I don't believe that she's a porn star, but I believe that her boss paid for her boobs. And she's like, what is your boss's occupation?
Kind of a quid pro quo thing.
Yeah. And her name is Stacy. And he keeps like digging.
Christina.
Sorry, Christina. But he calls her Stacy. That's what I wrote in my notes. And he keeps like digging into her, like, hey, trying to get dirt on her. And he does it so much that he dies because he's just being an asshole. And people just realize like fuck this guy. Like, we don't want you. And then
I think we missed all because before that, I think we also got the whole introduction of Craig and his wife. Like before that, like I think we missed that at one point.
Did we?
So I think that was before some of the stuff we already covered.
I think
that was pretty
kinda,
early
I think
on.
they kind of said that they were husband and wife, but then it doesn't get into more detail until later. But I think I wrote families no kids. I think this is where they kind of come in, the married couple. Yeah, they get more involved a little later on. So we'll definitely get to them. But if you have anything to say, because I don't remember them, kind of.
Because I believe that was before the atheist and the minister, like that they said that they're. I think that was before.
That they're married. Oh, like it was. Oh, I'm married. Like I don't want to. I'm not gonna kill her. Like I'd sacrifice myself.
Yeah.
For her or whatever. But it was just like a kind of a 5-second thing.
Before that, we're introduced to Craig and Emily, who are husband and wife. Mm-hmm. And the husband tries to play I'll do anything for my wife.
Yeah, like they're together. If I have to kill someone, I'm not going to vote for my wife thing. But now we're going to get into some more detail with them. So then they start to talk about, this is when the banker comes in. And he's like, oh, well, who has families here? Who doesn't have kids? And he's like, I think people who have kids should get to live, which includes him, of course.
He has 7 kids, apparently.
And so, yeah. And then they get to Emily, and she's like, how many kids do you have? She's like, oh, I have one child who's 3. I forget her name. But,
because
I forget Emily was the woman, and her daughter was something.
Chloe or Zoe or
yeah,
something.
I think Chloe is right. Emily, what are you doing? Anyways, so they're kind of going back and forth, and it gets to this one lady who's like, hey, do you have any kids? She's like, yeah, I got some kids. And he's like, oh, like what are their names? Like, what's your husband? Like, yeah. What's your occupation? And she's like, well, she said she raised 4 kids that weren't hers. They were her deadbeat dad, who were a heroin addict and a depressed mom. Kind of sounds like Shameless, huh?
No, her,
You know?
she, or yeah, she was raised in a household of her and her four siblings. No?
Yeah. So she raised the siblings while her dad was getting high on
Because the
heroin.
way you were saying it made it sound like wasn't even her siblings.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Whoops. Whoopsies. Uh, and then they find out she's like, I was in the Peace Corps. I got a degree in whatever, and now I have a child on my own. And he's like, oh, what's your husband's name? And she's like, wife's name. It's like, oh, this is the Gecko guy, Gordon Gecko guy. He's like, oh, so you're gay? He's like, yeah. What does that matter? Oh, it matters a lot. Blah blah blah. It's kind of sinful, don't you think? Don't you think you shouldn't live because you're living a sin? It's like if you die, then your wife would live a more normal life. And you're like, oh, fuck off. And then they have a discussion of one of the guys is like, hey, what happens when there's two people left? Because they've had ties before, and in a tie, like you can only vote for the other person. And so what happens when there's two people left? Like, does one have to sacrifice themselves? Like, how does that work? Um,
More on that later.
yep. And because it eventually gets down to one. Well, spoiler alert. Yeah, of course it does. And then they talk about, and then the Gordon Gekko guy's like, hey, what do you all do for work? What's your occupation? And someone's like, hey, stop bringing up class. Like, this is stupid. And they start talking about different, their contribution to society. It's like, who contributes to society and who doesn't? Like,
Mainly pointing daggers at a guy that has one arm.
yeah, and he's pro like killing the kids. Like he's for the equality. He's on the equality team basically. This will happen in a second, but he's like who's contributing to society? Like lots of people have kids, but who's actually contributing to society? Stuff like that. And yep, I wrote Banker because he's a fucking douchebag, just like the Gordon Gekko guy.
And so is the Kurt Cobain lookalike.
Who's the Kurt Cobain?
The guy with the long hair.
Oh yeah, he comes in a little later.
But still, he's a douchebag.
Yeah, he is. Well, we'll get to him. We'll get to him, all right. Then the red shirt guy pipes in, red shirt manipulation 2. And he says he just wants to kill those certain people so he can get a majority on his side. Because he'll get like a 9-8 vote, and so because there are certain people who want to protect the kid, and there's other people who are like, no, let's make this equal and fair for everyone, so everyone has a chance to live. And so he mentions like now there's teams, now there's an equality side, and there's a save the kids side, basically. So they stop. Let's see. So they stop one of the teams from killing the kid and the pregnant lady, and then it forms into a scuffle, and they're having this debate between these two teams, like who should kill who, in order to it's like Survivor basically, but it actually is Survivor because you're literally surviving this. Equal versus Save the Kids teams, and then I think this is when the soldier guy, he points to the wife. He's like, hey, let's kill the wife. Hey, are you going to and he goes to the husband, are you going to sacrifice yourself? You're not going to vote for your wife, are you? Trying to, because the soldier's for the Save the Kids side. And he's like, crap, do I save my wife? And of course he's going to save his wife, because that's his wife, right?
Yeah. Because on the Save the Kids side, we have the cancer lady.
Oh, right, she's still alive.
The army guy, the red shirt guy, who we later actually find out his name's Eric. So we can stop calling him red shirt
I'm
guy.
gonna call him Red Shirt Guy because he's wearing a red shirt.
Because like near the end, we find out his name's Eric.
Okay. I'm gonna call him the Red Shirt Guy. You can call him Eric.
And then the husband and wife. The on the other side we have the banker,
Gordon Gekko,
Gordon Gekko guy,
the one black guy,
black guy.
and then like there's a
The Kurt Cobain guy.
yep.
And I think that was it.
Yeah. Anyways, it's hard to remember because some of the characters don't even talk.
And
They're
then
just
we
kind
have
of
the
people.
Hispanic guy. Or all that we have left is those, the Hispanic guy, and then one other guy that,
He's quiet.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk.
and then the girl and the pregnant lady.
So at this point, so they're kind of in a scuffle with who to vote for, and he's like, "Oh, let's vote for the wife." And then there's a tie between, I think is it the banker and the child, or someone else in the child? No, it's the Spanish guy
Yeah.
in the child.
Spanish, yeah,
Spanish guy and the child, and it's counting down again, and they're like, "Oh shit, what do we do? What do we do?" And the Spanish guy just takes a step back. He's not killing any kids, so he's a fucking hero, just like the 16-year-old. Hey, maybe the Gordon Gekko guy should name his kid after the Spanish guy. Who doesn't even know the name because he's a douchebag. It didn't ask.
I think they said his name was like Miguel or something.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think like at the very beginning of his whole Spanish dialect with the interpreter, he said Miguel or something like that.
I don't remember. I'm not very good with names, obviously. So they vote to. She said she voted for one, but the second time she didn't vote, and that's when the kids survived, basically. But we're over, don't worry, guys. We're over halfway done, so it shouldn't take too much longer. Let's see. And so now the logic team, or the equality team, has a majority, and this is when there's like it's really quick. There's a quick shift, and they're like, hey, we should vote for this person.
Thought I recognized her.
It was kind of funny.
The wife is Rita in Dexter.
Oh, who's Rita?
In Dexter, Dexter's wife.
Oh.
That is one actual named actor in the movie.
Oh, okay.
I thought I recognized her.
Well, I didn't. All right. And so, this is when the black guy is just like, hey, we have the majority now. You guys are all dead. And the soldier guy quickly thinks, and he points to someone. Hey, we should kill this person. And or no, I think this is where they make the deal. There's like some kind of deal that they make with the other side. Hey, if you pick this person, we'll pick this person. And they decide on that deal, and quickly something happens, and the soldier guy goes, "Oh, everybody, pick the black guy." The black guy's like, "What the fuck?" And he dies. Because they're racist. I think they killed him because he got really dark. He's like, "Yeah, we got the majority now." Anyways, and then this is when someone starts questioning. I think it's the long-haired guy, right?
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain guy. He starts questioning the married couple. He's like, "Hey, are you guys actually married? What are the chances of a husband and wife, like, being together and then being next to each other?" And so he starts grilling the wife, like what's your husband's birthday? Like, how old is your husband? Well, how many kids do you have? And then he asks, wait a minute, what's your husband's name? And she's like, and the husband is like, oh well, she doesn't want to say my name. She disagrees with your line of questioning, and and everyone's like, you said your name before. His name was Craig, and she totally forgets and she starts crying. And the husband's just like, hey, no, it was her idea. It was all her idea, blah, blah, blah. And so they kill the guy, kill Craig. Bye, Craig. Bye. I don't know what you're looking at. Is that
Just
Craig?
looking at all the actor names and just trying to see where everybody's from.
So they find out that they're fake, and then the husband dies, and then the wife is like, it's like I am actually married. And I do have a kid. Please don't kill me. I wanna see my child again. Blah blah blah. And then they all vote for each other, right? They vote again, and this time there's a four-way tie. I think it's the gecko guy, the banker guy.
The lesbian,
Oh, is it the
or
lesbian?
Cancer, and I think
Oh, cancer
lesbian.
and the lesbian.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's just a tie, four-way tie, and then
Because
apparently
afterwards we only have Kurt Cobain, or the four-way tie where they all die.
yeah, so they all die in the four. That just gets rid of four. It's like, oh, okay, that just happened.
Because then we have Kurt Cobain, Eric,
Red shirt,
little girl, pregnant lady, and then the guy that
silent guy.
silent guy.
And so this is where red shirt manipulation 3 happens, or not. It doesn't have to be necessarily manipulation. He's just talking basically. He mentions there's a tie of 3-3, 3 being on the equality side, and 3 being pro, not pro. One of the children of the pregnant lady guy side. And so there's another deal that's made, and they all decide to vote in order, and they got 3 votes on, I think they wanted a tie, so they had 3 votes on the married lady, and some on the red shirt guy. I think that was the deal, right?
Yeah.
And there was 3 people that voted for the married lady, Emily, right? Emily, and then see red shirt guy noticed
Or
that.
not, because after they kill the husband, it's revealed that that's not her name, because her daughter's name is Emily.
Oh, that I don't remember.
I don't think they actually said her real name.
I think did they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Because
don't remember.
she then said that, like, they're asking, so you weren't really married? And she goes, yeah, but I do have a daughter named Emily.
No, she is married in real life.
Yeah.
But not to the guy that died.
And she says, but I do have a daughter named Emily.
Yeah, whatever her name is. Anyway, well, she dies. Spoiler alert, she dies. And while they're doing the individual votes, Kurt Cobain turns to the silent guy. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And the guy's just standing there. He didn't vote. And so the married lady dies. So now I can stop thinking about that woman who I don't know the name of. Great, awesome, great, wonderful. No yelling on the bus.
I just call her Rita, because she
Rita?
plays as Rita
Okay,
in
fine.
Dexter.
Fine, Rita. And then the red shirt guy says that the guy who didn't vote, he's kind of hiding. He's not really saying anything.
That's the husband.
All right, cool. And let's see, how did they kill? And then the next guy who dies is the long-haired guy. How does that?
Eric manipulates the whole conversation to trick him into, like, saying, okay, let's just do like a 2-2 vote, and then the little girl
right.
and the pregnant lady.
He eyes look.
vote
He
for him.
looks at them and is like, he's just like telling them with their eyes, like, vote for this fucker. And so they do, and he dies.
And you just see the realization right before I go like,
It's like, wait,
fuck
what?
you.
Fuck. And then like this whole time he's like, yeah, I'm on the save the kid side, so we have to decide, um, like what do we want to do here? Like obviously I'm gonna go next, but if we can't do it with just two people, so one of you has to decide who's gonna sacrifice themselves. And the girl is like, yeah, I'm gonna sacrifice himself, and she starts crying, and he's like, what's your name, little girl? I forget what her name was, like Sophia or something like that.
Something.
Doesn't really matter. And he's like, we're gonna step off at the same time, and so the pregnant woman can win. And so he's like, all right, get ready. And they step off at the same time. So the girl steps off. He doesn't, and he votes for the pregnant woman. All in one swoop. Oh, sorry, Mel. All in one swoop. Yeah, we're fine. And so he wins. He's just like, ha, oh man, I can't believe I won. And then the noise happens again, and it goes, it starts to the couch, and he's like, what do you want from me? Was this the plan from the beginning? Just fuck with us and nobody wins? Oh my god, you guys are giant ass fucking assholes. And then he doesn't vote, obviously, because there's no one to vote for. And then it results in a tie. And the tie is between him and the unborn baby. And he's like, oh, shit. And then he votes for the baby. And then he's outside where he sees like 3 different spaceships all in the air, knowing, he gets behind like a group of people who are just looking up at them. And it doesn't look like they were involved in any of the experiments.
Yeah, I believe they were. I believe they're, because at one point, I believe they were all...
Because not everybody, because you gotta think about it, if it's an invasion, they only have so many ships, right?
I believe there's more than one group per ship.
That's a possibility.
Because it's such a big ship.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on how big the ships are.
Because I believe, because it purposely showed, like, look at pregnant lady, just to show that other groups made the decision.
Well,
like,
so then that confirms like what happens with a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
Like, even though you're pregnant woman's not gonna vote for the kid. It's just you just automatically win. But there were a bunch of kids out there, and they were just like kind of looking up, and I was thinking, oh, they're just randomly walking around, and they just found out. They're like, oh, huh.
Now my thinking is that they're all survivors.
That's definitely a possibility, but we won't know unless there's a fucking sequel. So make one.
This
right,
came out in 2015.
If anybody knows the creators or I don't know who the director was, we should all like email them or like message them and be like, hey, make a sequel to this
Aaron
amazing
Hahn,
movie.
make a sequel now.
Yeah, Aaron Hahn and Mario Michione is probably Italian. Like, fragile. It must be Italian. It says fragile, dear. Yeah, so the red shirt guy wins, and apparently a pregnant woman and a bunch of children that were huddled and looking up at these spaceships were survivors.
I think of it as like they're coming to kind of just call the week, so they did multiple different versions of it. And since it's such a big ship,
well, who knows? Maybe one was all children. You don't know. Maybe one was all black people. Maybe one was all Asians. Maybe one was all deer. Maybe one was all Jews. Like, what's that South Park episode? we put everyone together on the planet. They're like, deer, kangaroos, Jews, Asians.
but,
I love South Park.
Yeah, I I'd give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, it was really good. Ooh,
It,
Mike.
it
Oh my God, my comment I made on the channel got a heart. I feel so loved.
it tackles all the different political issues that we had back then and we still do. Like,
Yeah. So what do they tackle? Let's go through the list. I didn't write the list, but it's on here.
like
Ooh, I need a highlighter. Do you have a highlighter? Oh, no, never mind. Let's see. They go over old people versus young people,
race,
race.
criminals,
Yep. Good versus bad, basically.
lesbians, or
Yeah. Gay versus straight,
yeah.
basically. Because at
sexual preference.
at that time, that was more of an issue, but now it's just like who the fuck cares.
Marriage.
Yep. Oh, there was that couple who had an affair.
Yeah.
I remember. I forgot
The
about
two
that.
black ones.
Yeah, the two black
Yeah.
people, and then they're like, "Oh, what? How do you know this person? Coworker, neighbor. Oh shit. Oh, an affair, huh? Yeah, you're great people. You should just shut her mouth. Anyways, what else was there? Oh, we had the racist cop. So you have racism. We had the black person pulling a race card, which is kind of a dick move in that situation. Um, we had, do we save the innocent? Do we save a child? Versus, hey, we should all be fair and equal. Which I would, you know, if I was in there, I'd be like, yeah, save the child, of course. But that's what you say. But in reality, you don't know what would happen unless you're in that situation. You're like,
Also,
I
in
want
reality,
everybody to have an equal
the
shot.
easiest way to get through is to just act like a fly on the wall. Don't talk, don't vote, just like that one guy did.
Yeah, that's how he got so far. But he didn't finish because he wasn't talking.
Yep.
He just refused to vote for anyone because he's a good person.
And yeah, that.
You know.
But that is a good way to to get through it.
Yeah. No, it is. That would be my strategy actually, to just shut up, say nothing, but there is a risk to that too, because if someone could be like, hey, you haven't talked, why don't you talk? Because there was that one girl who got voted, she was in the tie. She's like, hey, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything at all. I didn't say anything bad or wrong, and then she got killed immediately.
And then also,
she just got picked so you can get picked. So if you're like, hey, let's try to do the right thing here, and just because the red shirt guy a lot of the time just shut his mouth.
Yeah.
For a lot of that.
He only really said something when he could easily manipulate it.
Yeah. When it was in his favor, made him look like he was a good guy and helping out. There was occupation/class, or contribution to society. Let's see. And then killing kids or killing a pregnant lady. Let's see.
There was even one of each race. Because there is Muslim, or religion as well.
Yep, religion too. Yeah, how did I miss religion? Talk about religion, talk about occupation and what you're doing, talk about old versus young. There's a lot of philosophical things in this movie that was very
tackles
intriguing.
a lot of issues that we had back then and still do with society.
Yep. I mean, some of it's changed, but not really. Like a slight, I'd say a slight change. Yeah, that was a movie. I give it 5 out of 5 as well. It was very good. Like, I've seen it before, but it's one of those movies where, like, I saw it again and still good. Like Back to the Future, you can watch that forever, right?
Like, I remembered, like, who survived, obviously, but I didn't remember, like, who died when.
Yeah, and how they did it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, It's like, I've seen Yu-Gi-Oh, like, 3 times. Just the original one. 2 times in English dub, and then 1 time in subtitles. And every time it was like, you watch it, and then 5 years go by, you're just like, yeah, I've seen it before, but how does he win again? It's like he's gonna win, but it's how is he gonna win?
How does he
How
break
does
the rules this time?
Yeah, how does he get through this one? How does he get through this one? Like, it's amazing. And then in the Japanese version is much better, and season 0 is the best. So
Yeah,
recommendation: watch season 0.
in the Japanese, he doesn't necessarily break so many rules.
Yeah, not as much.
Like, he doesn't attack the levitation support platforms.
It's a little different. There's a lot more strategy involved in the Japanese version. And I saw a video on YouTube, and they were saying like,
and
but the
no
guy-
finger guns.
yeah, there's actual guns. But the guy who was doing the manga of Yu-Gi-Oh, he did the end of season 0 where Kaiba was there and he played a card game, and all it was Yugi summoning Exodia or whatever for some fat chance of doing that. And at that time there was like no rules for it. He had no plans like to make this into an actual game, but it got so popular, like people like wanted him to do more and more. So then he switched the series from season 0 and the Pharaoh being kind of like a neutral, like a true neutral character, like, oh, I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna punish you, to he's more of a good guy in a way, but he still will punish people, but will punish the demons that are inside of him. It kind of changes, but he focuses more on the game, and he didn't know the game was going to be so good, so that's why there's no rules in Duelist Kingdom, because they didn't think of any at that time yet. So he would just like making it on the fly basically, which is kind of cool. I learned that about a month ago, I think, and I was like, oh, no wonder they don't have no rules. But then they had rules for Battle City, and it was like, oh, okay, there's actual rules, and that was fun. It's fun to watch, especially as a kid. It's very nostalgic, but I still have to watch all of them. But now I'm digressing, and we're talking about other things that don't really matter. Why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about this? This is weird. This is crazy. Okay, we should wrap this up, right?
That was our review. Thank you for joining us in our dwelling in basement.
Yep.
That's not a basement.
I am Ski Nerd, and that
I'm
is...
Derp Derp.
Whoa!
And like, subscribe, comment, help us towards that like goal. We accounted before.
It was at like 900 and something. So
928. So we're currently 72 away from our first goal. And that is to watch the first season of One Piece, which I'm sure a lot of people will actually like. So I'm actually for it.
I've seen the first 30 episodes, and I'm like, I got 1,000 more episodes to go. I don't want to.
And also a comment goal of every 1,000 comments, we'll watch something that a little better. We'll watch Detective Conan.
Is it better? Did I see an episode of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
a child detective.
Yeah.
Who likes to bang like 70-year-old
No.
women.
Nope. I have his figure right up there.
Hey.
Behind the mirror drain.
Skarsgård is his hero, okay? If you don't know the reference, it's Metalocalypse.
You mean Squizguard?
Squizguard.
Skarsgård is an actor.
My bad. Squizguard.
That's why I was confused.
He likes them older.
Yeah, he likes the G-Bills.
He likes them really old. 90 plus, baby.
Hell, if you guys want us to watch and review all of Metalocalypse.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. You get to look at pickles.
Comment Metalocalypse, or comment a quote from Metalocalypse.
Yeah.
Or a song name from Death Claw.
That's the only quote I remember.
And that was our review. We'll be back. Or I'll be back on in a little bit for Team Rocket D&D.
I gotta go home.
But see everybody in a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta work on our outros. We'll get back.